Michelle Obama would be called upon to be her husband's strongest ally as he met this challenge head-on. Now, as Barack and Michelle take their first bold steps into history, it is important to understand what it was that shaped them as individuals and the crucibles, both public and private, that would come to define their marriage. For theirs is a stirring, against-all-odds saga of hope and commitment, and, above all else, an inspiring, intriguing, uniquely American love story.
My wife was mad at me and we had this baby. It wasn't a high point in my life.
Barack. Oh no, I did not sign on for this. Michelle.
There were a lot of stresses and strains.
Barack. Chapter 1. September 2001. There was something different about the screams this time. They were more piercing, more frantic, and insistent than the sounds that usually rousted Sasha's parents from slumber in the middle of the night. As usual, it was Michelle who climbed out of bed first and made her way to Sasha's room, while Daddy stayed in bed, hoping that his 3-month-old daughter would quickly be lulled back to sleep. It quickly became clear that the baby would not be consoled. Barack finally threw back the covers and, still half asleep, plodded down the hall to investigate.
"Geez, Michelle,"
he asked as he walked into the baby's room.
"Can't you get her to stop?"
Michelle, who stood by the crib gently cradling Sasha, whirled around and shot her husband a withering glance. It was a look he had grown accustomed to since the birth of their first daughter, Malia, in 1998. And never more so than in the few months since Sasha's arrival. Michelle was a graduate of both Princeton and Harvard Law School. She had worked for one of the top law firms in the nation, and then for the office of Mayor Richard Daley of Chicago, before signing on with a nonprofit organization called Public Allies. She was beautiful and brilliant. And yet, like so many other young working mothers, she was the one who was expected to bear most of the parenting burden. In truth, Michelle's anger had reached the boiling point a year earlier, after Barack overrode her strong objections and ran in the Democratic primary against popular 4-term incumbent Congressman Bobby Rush. Obama had been elected in 1996 to represent Chicago's gentrified, racially integrated Hyde Park neighborhood in the Illinois State Senate, a feat he accomplished by using legal challenges to keep his rivals off the ballot and then running unopposed. After 3 years, he was impatient to move on and felt confident he could unseat Rush. A Chicago native, Michelle knew then what lay in store for her husband. She warned him that he was not ready to challenge Rush, a founder of the Illinois Black Panther Party who had earned respectability as an alderman and ward committeeman before being elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. Barack, a lecturer at the University of Chicago Law School, had a white mother, an Ivy League education, and no roots in Chicago's black community. In other words, Michelle only half-jokingly pointed out to her husband he had zero street cred. Barack's colleague in the state Senate, Don Trotter, was even more blunt. Obama, he said, was a white man in blackface. There are those in our community who simply do not see him as one of us. The grueling campaign had meant long absences from the family, but Barack did what he could to placate Michelle. In the middle of the congressional primary campaign, Barack kept his promise to take Michelle and then 18-month-old Malia to spend the holidays with his grandparents in Hawaii. When Illinois Governor George Ryan begged him to return for a key vote to make illegal gun possession a felony, Barack reluctantly broached the subject with Michelle. Malia had come down with a cold, and Michelle worried about subjecting the ailing toddler to a long flight. "We're not going anywhere," she told him. "But," she added icily, "you just do what you have to do." Barack got the message. Unwilling to further anger his wife, he refused to return to Illinois for the crucial gun control vote. Rush, whose 29-year-old son had been shot to death on the South Side not long before, hammered away at his opponent's unwillingness to interrupt his vacation to cast a vote that would save young black lives.